Webinar that we're hosting today. We're really excited to share more about the company and what we do. And today, we're going to introduce our LynX phone to the world and to you. This is our exciting and innovative new mobile phone, which specializes in providing the customer with a highly secure and private user experience. That's our key deliverable. So whether you're speaking or texting or emailing or searching or surfing the net, your data will remain private. Even your location will be kept private and away from the prying eyes of any third parties or bad actors or spying bots. Okay, so we're very excited to share a bit more about the phone and what we do in this space. As well, we got some early customers that have joined us today, and they've agreed to give us some feedback on why they decided to buy the phone and what their experience has been like. So we're going to keep it tight. We've got a 30-minute session. And we also want to give you a chance to speak or ask any questions as well. And then what we're going to do is pass over to our CEO. He's going to tell you more about the company and our background. And that's David Long. He's on the call here. So without further ado, let me introduce you to David. All right, David, take it away.
Thank you, Sean. Okay, everybody, get ready for a very interesting presentation, all about security. Okay, so let's begin with the problem. $265 billion is the total damages from cyber attacks by 2031. And actually, an update to this number, I saw a presentation by a friend of ours, Dr. Arash Lashkari at York University. I would say probably Canada's leading expert on cybersecurity. His number, $8 trillion. So how often does this problem happen? So in 2023, 5,483,002 cyber attacks. This is somebody who launches a ransomware attack on your business. You walk in, all your data is gone, and there's a note saying you have to pay us $10 million if you want your data back. A cyber attack like that happens every 2 seconds by 2031. I think right now it's not that bad. It's only every 5 seconds, but this is where it's heading every 2 seconds. Okay, so that's the problem that we solve. So what we do as a company is we're changing the way people are looking at mobile security. There's basically 2 phones out there right now. There's iPhones and there's Android phones. Guess what? They're listening to you all the time. And the data that is on those phones, because of just the way these things are built and sold, that data is for sale. And it's bad enough that it's being sold by people that are spamming your email and your phone's trying to sell you stuff that you don't want. But this data can also be purchased by criminals. And once they decide that they're going to go after your identity and raid your bank accounts, they can simply buy what they need because you've agreed that your data can actually be sold every time you purchase an Android phone and you sign on to the privacy agreement. So you have no choice until now. So when you're ready to make that buying decision, I want out, I want something else, we are the solution that you're looking for. Okay, so what is the solution? It's the LynX phone, and it has basically 3 basic important features that make it different from all other phones. Number 1, it's de-Googled. When you buy our product, you don't have to sign the Google Gmail privacy agreement. The moment you sign that thing, you're basically giving away your digital identity, which is your identity. You never have to do that when you use one of our products. So right there, you are on your way to actually having your personal life back or your business is back in your control. Our phones have integrated voice over IP, and it's built right into the operating system. You don't need an app to make VoIP calls. These are ultra secure, and the call quality is better than any other VoIP solution that you can buy. and it's available only on our phones. And the last thing is we have made our phones so they can run AI directly and privately. So the current solution out there is Gemini. Yes, it's good, but once you sign Google's privacy agreement, any questions that you ask the AI, whether or not they admit it, that's actually training data, and your private queries of whatever you're asking the AI to do, yes, you've given that information away. So we have similar technology, but the real thing that really makes it different is the privacy part. You can run AI privately on our products. Okay, so our operating system for our phones is called Xphone OS. This is the thing that really makes us different from the other phones. We've basically made our own operating system. So by doing that, we can offer something that's truly secure. Like I said, you can run AI directly on the phone. We're taking voice over IP and making it mobile, and there's just no spyware. As a side benefit, it also makes our phones run way faster because with the absence of spyware, the phone actually does everything else super quick. Imagine that. So our competition, it's basically Android and iOS. They don't offer native voice over IP, um, and they're full of spyware and malware, and they're listening to you. So that's the big difference between us and the competition. Okay, so this is how to find us. Our website is xtcmobile.com. That's it for my part of the presentation. Thank you, and we'll give it back to you, Sean. You're on mute there, Sean.
Thank you, David, for that intro. So now we want to hear from some of our recent users and buyers of the Lynx phone. So I'm going to throw it over to, we'll start with Henry, if you're okay to start, Henry.
Sure.
And if you maybe tell us a bit about, how you first got engaged with us, what prompted you, what feature of the phone that, prompted you to want to purchase it, and what has your experience been like since you've had the phone now for a number of months?
Hmm. Well, I might get you to repeat some of the questions after I start answering the first one. So
Certainly.
let's, well, we live in a world where you can more or less steal a car now just by buying an electronic device. And like there's some EVs out there where you can do that. It happened to a friend of mine in London. Um, and then I found out that this is a very common thing. There's a fellow who was on a call. I was on a call with him yesterday. He said that he knows a guy whose vehicle got stolen 4 times. That's just a bit of context. I'm a tech guy as a day job. Um, and so my security concerns just went, spider senses went through the roof. Um, because I know that people are generating software with AI now, and because I've done some of this myself. Except I don't do it for nefarious reasons. And this is a concern of mine. So I want to be able to just be secure on my phone without having to sideload stuff or turn stuff off. That was my initial motivation. And so I traveled with the phone when I actually have both. I've got the really Linuxy one, and then I've got the your most recent phone. I'll talk more about the really Linuxy one in a minute. When I traveled to Europe with uh the PX7, I can call it that, right?
Yeah.
Because yeah, so the PX7,
Yes.
um, I was actually pretty surprised. It connected really quickly, and I was using an eSIM. Which, okay, I've never done that before because I usually TELUS is able to roam and stuff, but it was in Europe, you don't have that automatically. So uh, that was quite surprising. And then when I talked to my wife, the video connection actually more clear than Zoom or Teams, and I think it might be just a function of no bloatware, like you guys were talking about. But it might actually be some of the things on the device, in particular the Linux phone. Sorry, the N100 is the clearest experience I've ever had, which is saying something, right? Because I've used some phone, like I've used the telepresence before, not on a
Mhm.
phone, but like in a room, and so it's actually pretty surprising that way. Um, I think that's two of your questions, right? You had one more.
Yeah, what were did you mention the reasons why you bought the phone? What intrigued you about the phone?
Mainly the security.
Okay.
Oh, the Linux bit. I know that this phone is really programmable. I know that you can run a Linux, like a true Linux kernel on it. Um,
Hmm.
and that means you can do some Python. So I'm
Right.
hoping to do, like I've rolled out some container apps recently that are web accessible and some of them are APIs. And I'm just wondering if I can um, rig up something here that'll do, let me do my invoicing on the road, that kind of thing. Like just as a small enterprise guy, I think there's a lot of potential here. I don't think a lot of people will go ahead and just write their own apps for invoicing and stuff, but I think the potential is here to do that. And you can, with all this talk about agentification, I'm hoping that you
Hmm.
can. I haven't tried it yet, but yeah, I've gotten to the command line. I've done some FTP stuff on the phone, but it's great potential.
Nice.
I'm looking forward to doing it.
Excellent. Okay, thank you. Just to clarify, Henry actually has two different versions of our phone. He's got one that's a Linux one for developers, and it allows you to run a lot of Linux programs on the phone.
Yeah.
And he has the more mainstream one is it runs on a Pixel 7. That's the Lynx phone. So there's two versions. The initial one is probably more savvy for those keen software developer types that want to run their programs, whereas the Lynx phone is more mainstream for people that are looking for that high privacy and security features. Thank you,
Actually,
Henry.
I forgot to mention unless
Sure,
I'm gonna eat up the time here.
jump in.
Nextcloud this is one of the motivations as well. I was looking to own my own data again. So I am a user of the large platforms, the common names that everyone knows, but I did a migration recently. Um, and I have um, a few other colleagues who've done the same. So they're trying to like get all their data back. And one of them went with Synology, which is locally hosted. I wanted to remain on the web, so I actually went to Nextcloud. But the integration is pretty tight. So you can do things like all your file management. I managed to set up 2FA on it, which,
Nice.
it's not Google's and it's not Microsoft's 2FA, it's Nextcloud's 2FA, which is really cool. And then I found out that a lot of governments in Europe use it. It's quite a different experience. It even has sort of a Zoom chat feature on it, which actually, Sean, I think you and I have done a call using it. It's actually quite clear,
Hmm.
secured. It's not, I know we're recording right now, but we know about it, right? So there's that feature to it as well. I think given enough time, I think this is going to get some traction. I think we're two security events away from, everybody saying, "Hey, where's BlackBerry again? Where's a secure phone?" I don't think a lot of people know that there's like a secure phone alternative to the mainstream. So
Yeah, good. That's been our goal. And yeah, the Nextcloud, I've not come across a higher quality video conferencing platform than Nextcloud. And Henry and I have been on a number of calls, so it's a great user experience. Okay, why don't we hear from another one of our customers? Does anyone want to share their feedback and maybe what prompted them to buy the phone? Inesh, did you want to share some comments?
I actually don't. I work with Joey, who's got the phone, and so he's probably got something to share, but I
Okay.
actually don't have one.
All right, not a problem. What about Byron? I believe he's got a phone.
Yeah, I'll jump in here. I uh, got a phone pretty quickly from Dave, mentioned his friend. I managed to get my iPhone uh, pretty wet and it died. And I needed one in a hurry. But Dave had been talking to me about this phone a lot. Uh, these security features on it, I appreciate. I um, a little bit more optimistic than perhaps Henry is, but I think in the little while we are going to need to have more secure facilities for this type of thing. Um, so thought may as well, given that I needed a phone immediately, get one from Dave and then things. Um, I, I'm not a really high tech guy, so I used to be, but not, sort of let things drift a bit. So I'm a bit behind the schedule on that. The uh, I've been slowly loading the apps on. One of the things I did find is that some of the apps that I want to use really did require you to do something through Google Play or something like that. So it was a little bit disappointing in that regard. That sort of defeated the purpose a bit, I thought. Um, and so there's two sort of app files on there, F-Droid and Aurora. And you sort of had to search around to find which app might be best. And initially, because David sort of said, don't use Google Play. And then I had to go through the apps and find which ones required me to use Google Play, and then sort of work down the list. But it's quite a long list of what I wanted for the app. So and then Dave said, well, sometimes you have to use Google Play because there's no appropriate app. That was one issue with it. It wasn't, I managed to get around that. I did find that the apps work quite differently. I was managing a tour this weekend. That's why I needed a phone really fast. And Tyler was my sort of radio operator. I drive the administration vehicle. And we were trying to use Google Maps. And that, for some reason, was really slow. I've since found out that on that Dave had loaded on another app, which was Osmond, and that worked really well. I've been using that for the last couple of days. So one thing I feel would be useful would be to have a list of sort of apps that work well with the system. So that you don't have to sort of search through and find, oh, this one needs Google Play, this one needs Google Play, this one doesn't, type of thing. That would be really helpful for us, or for a user like myself who has limited patience to spend time doing this. I'm using WhatsApp on it, and that's working well. The messaging thing, K9, that works well for me. Phone seems good. Contact list and everything else seems to work fine. Cameras, okay, that's kind of critical in some ways.
Good.
A weather app was a bit of a challenge. Dave helped me find that. I haven't yet done anything like Henry was talking about in terms of migrating data or things like that. The browser, Vanadium, seems to work pretty well. I haven't tried that, and I haven't tried anything like programming with it or not at all. What I was hoping to be able to do was we have a bunch of documents that we needed for the tour, and I thought I'd download those onto the phone and then access them. Never really managed to get anywhere with doing that. These are in large, huge Excel spreadsheets and things. I just sort of gave up. It was easier to just print copies. But
thank you, Byron. You know what? We can address some of those questions or challenges after the meeting. I want to be cautious. We got about 10 minutes or so left.
Yeah.
Thank you for that feedback. Before I go to the next customer, Dave, can you just speak maybe for about 30 seconds about the apps that come with the phone, that are, and why they're different than, say, traditional Google apps?
Yeah, so we heard a lot of interesting things from Byron there. So what we do with our phone is we put high quality, free open source apps that do everything that you need on the phone to get you started. So like F-Droid and Aurora, these are stores like Google Play, but you do not need to input your Gmail account, so you can download these apps anonymously. F-Droid is probably the best quality apps. There's about 3,000 of them. Aurora Store has every app that you can get in Google Play, but you can download them anonymously, and there's like 3 million apps there. But be careful which ones you download, because if they're ones that have advertising or malware, then you're kind of back to a similar problem than before. There are times though that you do need to download an app that it's really tied to Google and you need it, in which case you have to kind of hold your nose and just do it. But we can still reduce the number of things like that by like 99%.
I
Okay,
think I
so
think the whole idea of these apps is we're trying to move away from the standard Google ones where
yeah,
you're being tracked and followed and listened
yeah,
to and it is sold. So we're presenting you with an alternative that is secure and prevents that from happening. That's the whole gist of these alternative apps.
yeah.
Okay, I want to go over to either Joey or Eric, who wants to maybe share some feedback.
You want to
Um,
jump in there, Joey?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. So, hi everyone. I am Joey. I am one of the co-owners of TextFire. I also am involved in a business relationship with Anesh here. I was given an X phone by Dave, and we. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Cool. Yeah, I was given a X phone by Dave to try out and everything. Where I'm looking at it for is not just the security, but to be able to give it to industries like lawyers, healthcare providers, doctors, things of that nature who have to qualify it for HIPAA and make sure that no PII is getting done. So a voice over IP function for that matter would definitely be something that those industries would like. Now, where I find it very helpful is in the cryptocurrency space, fintech, and of that kind of blockchain technology. If I want to protect my, earnings and my rewards and my wallets, this is the phone to do it on. So I have Next Phone. I'm utilizing a free mobile service on it currently. So I'm not paying a network fee right now, and that network service runs on decentralized blockchain technology. And I downloaded a few of my what's called mobile wallets as well on here. I haven't yet pulled the trigger on transactions yet, but I definitely want to. Like, I do have wallets with some key codes, and I haven't seen anything. So right now I'm in the process of looking for early adopters in the crypto space. I know this is something that because this is something we talk about all the time: security, safety, and just having the overall having your your own personal thoughts and what you ask back from your devices is very important. And I think Xphone delivers that.
Excellent. Okay, thank you for that. That actually might be a good segue over to you, Eric. Transactions. I think you've been using the phone for some banking transaction. Is that right? And if so, can you share a bit more about your experience?
So Sean, this Eric, uh, he's a friend of ours. He used to work at BlackBerry. It's different from Eric Adams. So I don't think Eric's on the
Oh,
call. Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Okay.
But
yeah.
I am a big fan, and I believe that we need your product out there. We do need. I had the Flex with Flex Group. We actually did the trial. It was really successful for the product. Unfortunately, because it was for the African market, it was a bit too expensive for what they could afford. And it wasn't also your new version mainstream, but um, we do need to have that. I'm a big fan of BlackBerry. I didn't work there myself and in telecom for the past forever. So we do need that phone replacement. So I'm a big fan. So I definitely want to see how I'll be able to help you guys have more footprint out there because we do need carry the flag and say, our data needs to be protected. Cybersecurity is a huge form factor. We keep giving our data to everybody. We need to change that. And I think you guys are well positioned to do that. So kudos to you. And I'm really happy that you keep progressing in that market. So heads up.
Yeah, let's talk more. We've got some other hardware options coming down the pipe, Eric. So why don't we have a talk about that and the price point question around the African market? I think we might have an answer coming soon for that. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions from anyone in the audience about what we talked about today or about the phone itself or its use?
Yeah, I'm curious about the VoIP. So obviously, there's VoIP functionality on the phone. Is this VoIP that's being uh, resold? Obviously, somebody has to administer the VoIP PBX. Is that being done by a third party, or is that something else?
Yeah, so the use first using the VoIP. So on the phone, if you go into the dialer and you're setting up your SIM under calling accounts, what makes our phone different is the voice over IP account. It goes right in here. You don't need an app or anything like that, and it's super fast. So if you get an incoming call, because it's built right in the phone, it answers right away. So no ghost calls, and it's just plainly better. This was incredibly hard. We had to dig to go and even find the code and put it back. Okay, and this is basically the only phone that does this. So that's how it works. The supplier is a company called Elastalink, and I think they're the largest voice over IP company in Canada, and their stuff is amazing. Like if we have two phones on the same network, like the same LAN, the call will actually go between the phones, not out over the internet. So like you could have a VoIP call with somebody on the floor of your office without the traffic even leaving your office, and a bunch of other stuff as well. We can wrap a VPN around that. There's just no way anybody's going to be able to listen in on that call. So that's what it is. Yeah.
Also, another question I had about the Android open source project was recently Google announced that they were changing the way that they were doing that. This affects downstream projects like Graphene OS and so on. Does this change some of your plans, or does this? It's like, who cares? We've got other options.
I think we're in the who cares category. Like, I don't mean that in an adversarial sense. We have our own code base. So it began with Android open source. It went to Graphene. We forked from Graphene. And then we actually went back to our history and grabbed our own Linux stuff and recompiled the kernel so it could run Linux. But there's so much stuff out there with different agendas. We just made our own code base. And so we can look at other things and bring them in. But what other policy changes Google makes or anybody else, we don't care. We do it our way.
So if you have to pivot to a new device, that's not a big deal. You'll go with some other provider like a Ubuntu Touch phone or something else.
Yeah, a lot of what I do is negotiate with hardware suppliers around making our operating system work, and it's our hardware suppliers actually that are going to make the biggest difference with what we can bring to market. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounded like projects like Graphene OS had basically decided, well, let's make our own phone. So
they have made it like the best secure Android-like operating system, hands down. The thing about Graphene though, it's bare bones. Like if you install it, like only a mother would love it. It's just like a black desktop with nothing. It's very secure.
Reminds me of the Open Moco days.
Yeah, but no business person, like you have to do so much work to put your stuff on there that no one's gonna buy it. That's why we built an app stack, right? Yeah.
And I guess another question, I noticed Byron's phone was set up with Canine Mail, and it sounds like the Canine Mail and Thunderbird are a little bit more conjoined these days. I recently upgraded my phone. I have a de-Googled Android phone that I've been using. I'm not yet an XTC customer, but as I said, I've been doing this stuff for a while. Mostly I chose apps that were more similar to the ones that I'm used to on my desktop. So I use Thunderbird on my Linux laptop, but I also tried to use Thunderbird on my phone just because the theory was that I was going to have fewer UI surprises. So again, things like that, some of those apps as they evolve, things like Thunderbird obviously is a choice. I'm not familiar with the web browser that Byron has on his phone. So is there an opportunity to check to pick apps that people are more familiar with as the desktop version, basically?
Yeah, definitely. So like we do service plans. They're quite inexpensive, and we do things like bundle them with our voice over IP. And like, Henry has got a small private cloud from us in Nextcloud. But with the service plan, you also get advice, and we got a whole team here. So you could do it yourself, but there goes like your weekend and your wife saying, honey, dinner, and you're like, I'm almost done. Or you could buy a service plan, right? And then you can ask us and we could probably answer questions in like a minute. You can figure it out, but do you really want to spend your whole weekend? So that's an option. Like we provide services with the phones too. The basic answer to your question is yes, absolutely, it can be done. What do you want to do, right? And then we can help you do it. Okay.
Any more questions? I know we're getting towards the end of the time period here. And I just want to share our contact details with everyone in case you want to get in touch with us, or if you want to learn more about the phone, you can come to our website there, xtcmobile.com. And we got Dave's contact details if you want to reach out to us. As well, Dave was kind enough to offer a promotion. If anyone wants to buy the LynX phone, say by Saturday, we're willing to give a 10% discount. Or if you want to buy two phones, we can give you the second one at 50% discount. So just a little offer there in case it might pique your interest. Otherwise, yeah, we'd be happy to speak again, or to, if you want to reach out to us, as I mentioned there, happy to engage and go over anything for you. Any final words, David, or any final questions from anybody in the audience? No? Okay, good. Well, thanks everyone for attending. We're going to do this again sometime in the coming weeks. We'll have a slightly different topic, but yeah, appreciate you giving us some of your time today and hope that was useful. Okay,
All right.
we'll end there then.
Thanks,
Cheers,
Sean.
everyone.
Thanks,
Dave.
everybody.
You guys.
Okay.
Bye.